one thing that's interesting, right? Because your wife's asked you, like, why did you keep this to yourself? Why were you holding this burden yourself? And I've tried to figure this out because I've experienced the same thing myself, right? I mean, we're in a really high right now, but there were some really low lows. You know, you mentioned there were scars. I mean, the D word was dropped, right? You know, around those times. And so one thing that I think some business owners run into is entrepreneurs are crazy. We're crazy, right? And I've said, like, you know, it might be hard to be an entrepreneur, but oftentimes it's even harder to be married to an entrepreneur. And the roller coaster you go through with the husband and wife, sometimes the wife is not emotionally prepared for that roller coaster, which causes the guy to even hold it in more. So you've been coaching for quite some time now. Like, how do you counsel a business owner who's, you know, trying to keep things tough for the spouse or so on?
Well, I think as I look back at myself during that time, Teresa and I have always had great communication, but at that time I was under such fire that I didn't know I wasn't sharing. I hadn't really realized, you know, it was all happening, snowballing. But ever since that time, you know, I've been very fortunate. I have a dear friend and a mentor named Matt Townsend, Dr. Matt Townsend. I need to introduce you to this man.
Yeah.
He's a relationship communication expert. And when I had gone to a conference of his, or I was at a conference and he spoke, and I just instantly felt, you know, a kindred spirit. I approached him, and he was getting his doctorate and writing his book. And he was teaching these classes where people are right at the edge of divorce. This is like the last step. Like, one of the partners has drugged the other one there before we just sign these papers. And you know, he has like an 85% success rate when he teaches models and systems and educates people.
Wow.
And so if you think about it, it's not being married to an entrepreneur that's hard. It's being in a relationship where the two parties lack skill and a willingness to learn together.
Yeah.
So I think inside of marriage, I think that we think we fell in love once. That's enough. It should carry us. Nothing's like that.
No.
You know, you look like you're in better shape than me, but I can tell you at age 49 now, I don't respond physically the way I did at age 25.
Yeah.
And so, and relationships, I think, are just the same way. So for me, I think that a lot of times the entrepreneur is focused, because the entrepreneurial animal is learning based, but they're learning based on the areas of passion.
Yeah.
My challenge to people is get your passion right. There's a spiritual leader that I've followed that says no amount of success will compensate for failure in the home.
Absolutely. It's pointless.
And so for me, you know, my wife and I, that was a realization for us, but we've learned, you know, models and understanding. And, you know, there's a coaching trick that I use, and I'll share this with you. I think it's as important to talk about how we talk about things as it is the things we talk about.
Yeah.
You know, Matt would say that's pre-planning your fights. And, you know, we've actually created a business application to this, but you can have people that believe all the same things, but they're experiencing life differently because they're not talking about it.
Right.
You know, in a way that invites additional understanding. And so I think that having a great marriage is about, is this okay that this is what we're talking about?
No, that's fine. I said it. This can go in any different direction.
I love that, by the way. These are my favorite conversations where it can just go anywhere. But I think having a great marriage is a skill issue. Yeah. And I heard it just recently said really well. And every entrepreneur should lock onto this. The word love is both a noun and a verb.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're at a sticking point, we're thinking of love as the noun.
Yeah.
When really it's, you know, the verb.
Yeah, and I took that lesson from Stephen Covey, right? You know, he talks about, you know, like I'm going through this issue with my wife. It's like, we'll love her anyway. Yeah, right. But you don't understand, like, there's like, we'll love her anyway. Yeah. Right. And over time, the act of loving her anyway will fix whatever the challenges that there were.
You'll appreciate this. So today I'm an owner in this company. You know, I own this. I have a business partner, but I have this company. And there was a season where I was a full-time coach, and I'm working every 30 minutes with someone like you. Like, this is the best thing in the world. We come on, we're intense. I jump on your face. You pay me for it and like it. It's, you know, I can let out all the driver in me and then go to the next call. I sail home. And then I don't understand why the kids don't have their written goals out. And my wife's like, hey, here, we just need you to do the dishes. and you know, and so now I'm thinking, do you not know? Now I haven't ever really said it this way, but there were, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you there were times I thought, don't you know, people pay a lot of money for my opinion, but the truth is,
I said that to my kids.
Yeah. Don't you know?
I know I do say these things to my kids.
Yeah, we probably all do.
Yeah.
And the answer is, no, they don't know, because here, that's
care.
not the role you play.
They don't care.
What we did in that case, because she would say, don't coach me. And then I'd feel defensive. I'm like, well, maybe you need coaching. This doesn't lead to anything good. So in this case, you know, we had a conversation away from the emotion. I let her know, look, this is a job hazard I'm staring down the barrel of. It's what makes me great at what I'm doing. Hard to come out of that role when I get home. And so we came up with this. If I seem like I came in as coach instead of father or husband, she would ask, are you in executive mode? Isn't that good?
That's great.
Executive mode.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was my trigger that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm vomiting my business stuff on the family that hasn't asked for it. And that's worked really well.